Hi there, it's day 28 of your reset. It's Sunday, and hopefully you've tried, or perhaps you're experimenting right now with your second intermittent fast for the program. So let me know how you're going with that. And just before we jump into today's topic, which is all about technology and addiction, if you've found this video on YouTube and you don't know what I'm talking about, there's a link below in the video notes, and that will take you across to the page on my website, which explains everything about this 31-day detox and reset program for your health and well-being, following the Ancestral health model, the paleo diet, the primal health model, and it's called the Paleo Reset 31. Okay, jumping into it. So technology is brilliant until we become addicted to it. Now, there are certain factors that determine whether a substance or behavior is classified as addictive. And with regards to this, the uncontrolled use of technology is still a new area of study, but it's revealing serious issues. So the technological age, technology is marvelous, right? There's no doubt about it. It's changed the way that we communicate. It's given us access to specialist information. It's allowed us to work with flexibility of time and of place, and it's revolutionized the way we see the world, and it's fun and it's dynamic and it's amazing, and it's allowed us to do things like this, yeah? But technology also means that we're bombarded with a constant stream of stimuli, beeps, and flashing lights. Distractions are launched at us from all angles, whether we like it or not. You know, there are televisions in public places and video screens in shop windows and advertisements everywhere, and smartphones invade our silence with all of their acoustic signals, and video games and chats and social media can all of this contribute to a continuing onslaught of disturbances. And the problem with all of this is that our DNA is programmed to function optimally with a peaceful life. Yeah. So before the Industrial Revolution of the 18th century, the late 18th century, the only sounds we heard came from nature and from our family and clan. Yeah. Remember that it's hard to actually imagine that unless we actually go out into the woods or into the mountains where there aren't any acoustic signals going on. We forget how quiet life was, and our genes have evolved to promote our survival in the here and now, right? This is important. For our ancestors, sounds were very significant. An out of the ordinary rustle or an out of the ordinary cry might have alerted us to the presence of predators or to a food source, right? And so because of this, our brains became hardwired to respond positively to strange stimuli via the pleasure and reward response, right? So we looked at the pleasure and reward response in the email and the video about sugar. So we'll look at it again. This is a quick revision. The pleasure and reward programming is activated when the body-brain receives stimuli from certain events, right? So the flavors of sweetness, salt and fat, as well as physical activities such as sex, activate the opioid receptors in the brain and flood the circuitry with the neurotransmitter dopamine. Now, dopamine impacts upon our movement, emotions, cognition, motivation, and feelings of pleasure. And importantly, the feelings of pleasure that we receive from dopamine are so strong that we're motivated or manipulated to look for similar situations in order to repeat the experience, right? Now, this circuity worked beautifully for Homo sapiens throughout evolution. It allowed us to thrive. But today, the acoustic signals of messages and tweets and announcements and publicity and radio and TV and commercials and news, they're unstoppable. They're often much louder than the sounds of nature. And just like the taste of refined sugar in industrialized foods, they are super sensations. So each acoustic signal activates the opioid dopamine response, and the continuous repetition creates a chain of addiction. The stimuli produce a feeling of euphoria. When the receptors lose sensitivity, it becomes necessary to stimulate them more just to receive the same effect. The absence of the stimuli causes anxiety and depression, And the anxiety and depression motivate us to search for more stimuli. And now the name given to this new phenomenon is AID, Internet Addiction Disorder. And internet addiction indicators include all the other indicators of addiction, right? Of other substances. Preoccupation, compulsiveness, tolerance, withdrawal symptoms, continued behavior, social exclusion. Okay, so preoccupation with the internet, with social media, and with video games. Compulsiveness, lack of control, inability to regulate how much time has elapsed. Tolerance, which means the need for more time or a new game to produce the same effects of euphoria. Withdrawal symptoms, which might be physical and or emotional distress, anxiety, depression, etc., when there's no access to the technology or no access to the internet. Continued behavior despite negative consequences, such as family conflicts and poor performance at school or at work. And social exclusion, right? Decreased social life, impaired daily functioning, adverse academic or work performance, reduced psychological well-being. It has an effect on the brain. All of this has an effect on the brain, incredibly. Excess digital exposure reduces the grey matter in the areas of the brain which are responsible for speech, emotion, empathy, concentration, motor control, and impulses. It causes compulsive behaviors, stress, and fatigue. It increases the risk of anxiety, depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And we can confidently say that excessive consumption of technology is harmful to our health and harmful to the development of our children. So it's really important for us to be aware of this because it's unstoppable. It's unstoppable, and we need to know how to manage it. So I've got 10 ways to manage technology. Number one, limit your time. Limit your time on social media. Check your emails and your notices just twice a day. Limit it to 10 to 15 minutes. That when you're reading the news on social media, just read the news really quickly and just read the headlines and avoid the news. Avoid the news, avoid the sensationalism, avoid the fear strategies and all of that stuff that just increases anxiety. Avoid television and advertising, full stop. Number 4, switch off all technology, TVs, smartphones and screens at least 1 hour before, 1 hour, 2 hours even better before going to bed. We touched on this yesterday. Never use a smartphone when you're driving. Even that requires, a sort of force of willpower because we're so used to having them in our hands. Number 6, set a timer to get up and away from the screen once every 20 minutes. Move around, do a few stretches, focus your eyes on things in the distance. Number 7, surround yourself with non-technological activities. So crosswords and journaling and art and creativity and music and puzzles and pens and pencils and paints and plants and books and models and wool. Just surround yourself with stuff that will get you away from the technology. Number 8, read paper books instead of on screen. Number 9, learn how to say no. Learn how to say no to yourself and also to your children. And number 10, go out often with family and friends for sporting and cultural activities. Okay, so it's important to enjoy life and to enjoy technology, but without too much of it. Being very, very aware that it plays on our genetic programming in order to make us addicted, and addiction is not a good thing. Okay. So that's it for today. In the eat section for today, there's some advice about how to go out and eat dinner. How to go out and eat in restaurants and trattorias and cafes and pubs and all of that sort of stuff. It isn't difficult. It isn't difficult once you get into it. So there's a lot of there's some advice here. It really does depend on just sort of knowing what to order and how to order. It's just about practicing asking politely the waiter and the chef if they can make little adjustments. They're very happy to make adjustments. Like, they're very aware that food intolerances and allergies are on the rise, and their job is to please their customers. So most waiters and chefs are very happy to make little adjustments. You just need to be clear and polite. Let them know what's going on for you, and and be aware, right? And be aware when you are eating out, be aware that most restaurants use industrialized seed oils. So stay away from food chains and don't choose fried foods if you can avoid it. Be aware that most restaurants devote a large portion of their menu to cereal-based meals, like grains and cereals, and most restaurants use an extraordinary amount of refined sugar and flavor enhancers, right? So, but you can eat out without suffering the consequences of all of those things later on, you know. So you can read through that and have a bit of a look at it, how to do that. And yeah, don't be afraid of asking. Don't be afraid of exploring and trying new things and asking. It's Sunday today, so the movement recommendation is just to play or rest. And the motivation exercise for your journal is to reflect upon the past week. So just, reconnect with your objectives and just do a quick revision to see, how you're feeling about this last week. And we've only got a couple of days to go. Okay, see you tomorrow.